that I want to give you is have that directive culture. So what we do when we go in day one, that directive culture is budding with that office. They're in there, they have a plan. What's the plan? What are you going to do? And they're going to buddy with that office for at least 30 days. So the culture gets ingrained. Because it's very hard when you have an acquisition and you are not allowed in, how do you get in quick? And you're looking at a lot of these faces in these videos. Like I said, a lot of this is 2 and 3 days in. Because look at the smiles. We're now included. We were afraid. We didn't know what was going to happen. And all of a sudden we turned it around. And you will get a couple questions when you go in. This is the next tip I want to give you. We go in, the first thing we do, we ask this question. Give me 2 things you would like to change and 2 things you would like to keep. Well, I'm going to tell you the common answers. The first thing that you get is, the 2 things we'd like to keep is our office and our staff. The other thing we get, what would you like to change? Well, sometimes it's a doctor, but we don't go there. But what would you like to change? Communication, because they never told us we were selling. And the second thing is, I'd like a raise. That's it, this comes out. But we take one of those things, we start to capitalize on it. Want communication? Guess where we're going tomorrow? We're going to team building. Okay. It might be building balloons. It might be a cooking class. Nothing to do with dentistry. And truly, if you look at these people, how they're smiling, 2 and 3 days out, they're understanding. They're understanding what we're about. So that's what culture's about. And that's how you do it. From day one, you go in, you walk the walk, you talk the talk. Have fun with your staff. It's important. Empower your staff. You know what? You hire smart people. Make those smart people do what they can do. Give them a growth experience. Use culture to do it.
Leave your ego at the door. As the title of one of my favorite books is, Ego is the Enemy. The fact is, we're all successful by definition. We made it to this room. We're dentists, we're CEOs, we're CFOs, whatever. But there's no job in that organization that you're too good for. You need to get down basically on the employee's level. You need to have boots in the ground. You got to get out of the ivory tower, put your ego to the side, and know what's going on all day, every day. Whether it's a de novo, whether it's an acquisition, or whether it's every day.
What you'll be doing to give your culture, to put your culture out there to hire a good associate. Well, we had a lot of doctors that came to us and said, how do you do that? And I said, very easily, you have to tell them what your culture is. So we created a YouTube channel, and this is what we put on it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Kendall, founder of Everglades Pediatric Dentistry. Our practice opened its doors in 2010, and at this time, we serve our patients from 2 office locations, Okeechobee and Sebring, Florida. We are currently looking for a part-time or full-time, board-certified or board-eligible pediatric dentist. So come on, let me show you around the office.
And I think you have to go in, and the culture is, and there is accountability. We're accountable to each other. We're accountable to ourselves every day. And if you come in with a good attitude and you can kind of set that good tone, the accountability will start. And when you have true accountability in your organization, you have culture, you know the people that aren't being accountable. Everybody knows them. They're hiding, might be walking out, going to the bathroom, all kinds of things. It becomes very apparent. So accountability is a big part of culture, but it has to tie together. So if you have a director of culture, she'll set the tone. She'll set a scorecard. She might produce a scorecard for accountability. How's this happening? What are you doing? Is the culture working? She's getting the pulse. We talked about getting the pulse. She's getting the pulse of what's going on. So there's accountability all around.
How does culture influence people in situations when we are faced with adverse situations like firing an employee?
Okay, so what I would tell you is when you have an adverse situation and you have a good culture, you're going to get your team together. And a lot of times after the firing is done, there's a hush. You get them together and you talk about what your culture and your core values are. And you explain to them why what just happened. You don't have to go into employee details. They just didn't fit our core values. Things weren't happening. And believe me, if you don't think people know they're going to get fired, they usually see the writing on the wall. And a lot of times what happens is after we do that, and because we have a good culture of communication, what you usually hear walking out the door, we couldn't wait. It's about time. So use that culture, use those core values to your advantage. And every time we have an adverse situation, we will gather the leadership team, and we will let the leadership team know that this is what's going on. There'll be a morning memo, or we use a application called Slack. We will Slack it out to the leadership team, and they will know that this is going to happen, or we have this situation. It could be a patient situation, it could be an employee situation, and we go back to our deep core values and our culture. And one of the strongest things we have in culture is communication and language, and we use our language with our team to explain what is happening. So I think when you're very transparent, those are the things that will help you get through it. I'll tell you that culture will save you many times. People realize sometimes I don't think they put the emphasis on how important culture is within an organization and how you could use culture to your benefits. And that's some of the things that we teach our leadership teams. You know, when you have a strong culture, you have a strong leadership team, you have that bond, there's a lot of things that you can overcome. For instance, we had and I'll just share a quick story. We had a doctor that came in, and it was a couple days ago. We had an acquisition. We're 3 days in, and he says, I have to leave. What do you mean you have to leave? I have to leave. We just found out my dad had brain cancer. I've got to go. And everybody was shocked. They love this doctor. We have a brand new doctor in there. He's out of dental school not too long. And it's like, how do I do this? And I said, listen, there's two things that we're going to do. We're going to communicate with the team. We're going to be transparent. You're new. You're going to learn. There's nothing that's going to have to happen. But the leadership is going to work with you. And our culture will carry you. Our culture will support you. Our culture will respect you. Our culture will love you through this. And actually, we walked him through the door. First couple patients, he was quite nervous, to say the least. Team got around. They decorated his office. They brought in cakes, cookies. They played really upbeat music. And by the end of the day, he turned around and said, I can do this. So it was the culture. We set the moment. He said, nobody ever decorated my office for me. New student coming out. We just wanted to set the culture. So those are some things that can help you. I think it's an interesting topic when you talk about culture and ingraining it in acquisitions, because, like I said, a lot of times we are not allowed in beforehand, and sometimes we are. But I say again, take away three things. Have a plan. The plan is the most important thing. You have to have an acquisition team. You have to have a transition team. Even if you're one office, you have to act like you're big. You have to act like that's the space that you're going to. You can have 4 people, but you can still have the director of culture. You can still have the director of accountability. So if you're 1, you're 3, you're 10, go in with a plan. The other thing I tell you is, again, go and do something fun. Make them like you. They want to like you. They want their job. They want their income. They're feeding their family. And you know what? Interview them. Tell everybody on the first day we're interviewing them, but we're not asking them questions about dental. We're asking them, tell us about your family. Tell us what excites you. What do you like? What are your hobbies? What do you want? What books do you read? What books don't you read? We ask a lot of personal questions. We go in and we find out about them. And the other tip that I can give you, after we do those interviews, and if we find out what they like, we will go to, this is our frugal side, we will go to the dollar store, and we will find something that related to something that they told us. If they tell us they'd like to drink coffee, we're going to get a coffee cup and we leave a Starbucks card in it, and we'll put it on their desk. Okay, if they tell us they like to read, we'll go buy a book, and we'll sign that book. Welcome to our organization. We put it on their desk. It's the little things that make the difference in culture in your organization.